Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
We are creating conscious community by sharing mindful manifesting skills and transcendental music.
We are all in this together. Don't worry about a thing, cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birdies sat by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of a melody pure and true. Yeah, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birdies sat by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of a melody pure and true. Yeah, this is my message from you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be
Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jalen.
And he's Monte. And it is 20 2023.
Congratulations, everybody.
You made
The
it.
year of awakening.
Yeah, something
Perhaps.
like that. Perhaps.
So here we are. What's awakening mean to you?
Awakening mean to me? Well, awakening hopefully means that I had a good sleep. That's an inside joke. Anywho, awakening. I don't know. What does it mean to you?
A lot of things. One of the awakening to our true power. Awakening to our maybe our cultural dharma. Awakening to my own sense of empowerment. I think that's a big deal right there, is empowerment. And it seems from a psychological perspective, there are two aspects of just our minds. And one of those aspects is we're feeling empowered. And I think when we feel empowered, we just naturally have more energy and naturally are more present and naturally more excited about life. But when we lack empowerment in our minds, that's when we get depressed, that's when we have anxiety, that's when we feel stuck. And we feel like under the thumb of somebody else, essentially, or under the thumb of, our culture.
Circumstances.
Yeah, right.
So you're saying empowerment is awakening?
I think if we can awaken to our power, then we're feeling empowered. Yeah. And then just in general, we'll feel better and we'll accomplish more cool stuff if we're feeling empowered, and it's just a very simple yet poignant way of dividing up our psychological state of mind. Am I feeling empowered or am I not feeling empowered from moment to moment? And that's one thing I love about the mindfulness practice, because ultimately empowerment, I believe, begins in our own minds.
Yeah, absolutely.
It begins in our own minds, and it begins in our own ability to be empowered over our own self-talk and just over our own attention. And so instead of the old habits, let's say I'm habitually engaging in unproductive self-talk, negative self-talk, and if I can really notice that and then shift it, then I'm empowered. Or another way of looking at that is just through a lens of hermetics, which I've been studying. And essentially, hermetics, it's an ancient Egyptian philosophy of how to work with our minds. It's really amazing, 2,500-year-old philosophy, how to work with our own minds. And the idea being that everything is vibration. The God mind is everything. So everything is, the mind is all. And our job is to simply work with our own mind vibration and try and bring it closer to the God mind vibration. And at that point, we start tapping into our own power.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting, empowering philosophy to really take on. And the idea is when we're stuck in the lower mind state, there in hermetics they say there's two mind states. There's the elevated mind state where we're feeling inspired and where we're feeling grateful. Even when times are tough, we can feel grateful perhaps. And when we're feeling present, and when we're feeling awake, and when we're feeling forgiving, perhaps, compassionate towards ourselves and towards others. That's the elevated mind state. The other mind state is the lower mind state, which would fall under the disempowered category, because that's where we're feeling, depressed, or we have anxiety, or we're fearful, or we're feeling guilt, or we're
burned out.
Yeah, well, that's kind of depressed, right?
Yeah.
Just tired, want to sleep, whatever. Just want to, craving substances to like shift our mind out of that lower mind state. But with hermetics, in hermetics, they talk about having the ability to transmutate your thoughts, transmutate your mind energy. So when you identify that you're in that lower mind state, I'm in the lower mind state, I'm like talking to myself here. I'm in the lower mind state. Okay, I'm going to try and transmutate and enter the more elevated mind state. So transmutation is a key element of hermetics, which essentially is learning to be empowered over our consciousness.
So transmutation is a choice. You just say, I'm going to transmutate this.
Yeah, and then you go into your transmutation skills, because you have a transmutation skill set.
And that would be like the mindfulness skills. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, my transmutation skills are just deepening my breath, feeling my ribs expand, lengthening the exhale, saying a few thank yous in my mind. I mean, the way I've used it this week is there have been a few times when I've been triggered into like a lower mind state. Because of, other people's actions, whatever. I mean, this is life. Yeah. We get triggered, or I get triggered.
Yeah.
And we all get triggered, I think, and the idea is, though, that when we're triggered, we don't just stay in that lower mind state and like, I have an excuse. So-and-so is bad to me. I had a rough night, whatever. I'm going to be in a lower mind state for the next day or 2 weeks or 10 years or whatever it is. It's like, I got triggered. I'm in this lower mind state. And then in my own mind, I'll say, transmutate. And then I'll go into like the deeper breath, the lengthening the exhale. And I'll also do this diffused awareness with my eyes. So, and I've kind of differentiated between diffused awareness and specific awareness. And diffused awareness is when you kind of just see everything with your eyes. So instead of like focusing on one little aspect of what's in front of you, you kind of see the entire scene. Diffused awareness. Yeah, which I think is a skill that we've lost. I mean, think of it when we were hunters and gatherers, and we're hunting in the woods and we're walking, down a trail. We're in a place of diffused awareness because we want to see out of the corner of our eye, that movement, or we don't want to be focused. But then when we do see the movement, then we go into, we do get focused on whatever we're looking at, and
one-pointed focusedness.
Yeah.
So I would beg to differ that we don't. But I do believe that there's that subconscious taint on it or fog or something. But I definitely find myself seeing how far is my periphery, like how far can I see?
Yeah, well, that's great.
And in Tai Chi, you do that one periphery exercise, and I really love it.
Yeah.
And I think ever since then, I've noticed that it was interesting to hear you describe the diffuse focus because as you said it, I really opened my eyes and thought about, how do I see the world? And I do trust my periphery a lot. Yeah. Maybe too much, and maybe there's some paranoia in there too, I see, what was that? So I think it might be the quality of the diffuse focus for people like me who've like may be more in the hypervigilant state of mind.
Yeah. See, and from that perspective, it's like a challenge to get into that elevated mind state. If you're kind of in a paranoid state.
Yeah.
But
that's so interesting to just say transmutate. You know, it's like Transformers, but a little different, you know, like
it is. Well, it gives me a definite thing to work on.
Yeah. It's like that intention for that moment.
Yeah. Transmutate. Yeah. And then stay with it. Okay, I'm feeling better. Oh, I'm triggered again. Transmutate. I go back to it. You know? So okay, awesome. Come back to it. You know,
I want to do this.
Oh, it's fun. It's super empowering.
It's funny because, like, when you're describing it, I'm like, I can't do that. There's just no way. I can't say transmutate and transmutate. Like, it takes hours. No, this won't work for me. But at the same time, there's this desire that maybe it could work.
Yeah, right. Just play around with it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you could throw. Like I said, I work with the optimal breathing and the feeling the ribs really expand, and then exhaling and lengthening the exhale. And that's such a big deal as far as just then the heart slows down because I'm getting more oxygen per breath. And then everything kind of settles down. It's really one of the keys for me when it comes to effective transmutation.
I do feel that. It's so interesting that the optimal breath that you've really been into for a while, like years so or more, is so much like Qigong breathing. Because of course, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of expanding the ribs and not worrying about expanding the belly.
Yeah.
Because in Qigong breathing, you actually bring in the navel for your inhale, which makes you expand your ribs.
Oh, okay.
You know, so in Qigong breathing, it's if you think that the yin energy is the lower half of the body and the yang energy is the upper half of the body, you're trying to bring the yin up to the yang during the inhale by drawing the navel in and then expanding the breath. And then the exhale brings the yang down to the yin.
Okay.
So you relax the navel. So that's the only difference that I've seen.
So it's close. You feel those ribs expand. I mean, and for me too, when I feel my ribs expanding, it actually feels good. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those movements, because it is a movement that is self-soothing in a way.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it, we will lose the ability to do that, because the body, if you don't stretch it, if you don't move it, it just kind of tightens up.
Yeah.
So, it's just something I want to do for the rest of my life, essentially this lifetime.
For sure.
Get on it, and I'm trying to practice enough where it just becomes part of my procedural memory. Essentially, every time I'm triggered, every time I'm stressed, I want to go into this transmutate and the optimal breathing. It's like I'm trying to develop that as a habit, because it's easy to talk about.
Right.
It's easy to talk about, but it's not so easy to use it in the heat of battle, right? In your mind, when there's stuff coming down.
You're battling your mind.
Or, there's chaos around you, whatever it is, But it's just like, it comes down to training. Mm-hmm. I train in these techniques when I'm feeling good, I train every day. I try and come back to the optimal breathing, once an hour or so. I'm trying to develop this breathing as part of my procedural memory, which is in my subconscious mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only way to get into that subconscious mind and to evolve it is through repetition. Because I can know consciously that, this is the thing to do, but then if I never practice, it just won't happen.
Right.
Because it's not in my subconscious.
Yeah. And I'm for me, I'm good at sitting for meditation it's bringing it into the daily life that's so hard, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm very good at doing my daily meditation.
Yeah.
You know, right when I wake up or before bed. But during the day, that's the hard part, you know?
Yeah. And that's where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
Really, you know. And for me, it's almost like the day is the perfect opportunity for me to practice as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, you know, transmuting or just simply being involved with metacognition, so just watching my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Meta awareness, watching, you know, how I'm feeling, you know, just being in that place of discernment and noticing. Mm-hmm. And so it's an opportunity for me to train when I'm walking into the store, when I'm standing in line, when I'm going to the meeting, when I'm sitting in a meeting, when I'm, you know, meeting with somebody, it's all throughout the day are just great opportunities for me to get into that meditative state, I would say. But that's on the fly, you know, like kind of in the Tai Chi meditation where you're moving, but you're just really working on your own state of consciousness and presence and, you know, trying to keep everything fluid and graceful, including my mind, including my breathing, including...
Yeah. Yeah, you know? You've been doing so good, and I'm really happy to know that it's possible. You know, you provide this actuality for everyone.
Well, you know, and just I mean,
yes,
I'm not really there
yet.
I'm not really there yet, but I am training.
Yeah,
you know,
you show it's possible. You show that you can do this breathing every hour or throughout the day, or the diffuse mindful focus.
Awareness.
Awareness, and I think that's really great. It gives me hope. It really does. And so much of the time I'm holding my breath and holding my abdomen really tight, just out of procedural memory. You know, this is how you walk through life.
Yeah.
And that I've been working with the Qigong breathing a lot, but at the same time, with the holidays, I really dropped it, and except during meditation in the morning, you know, that was it. And now it's time to get that back. And I guess that kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about, which we'll just touch on now, and then continue that conversation for our last part of the show. But how do you want to walk in 2023? And this is going out on WDRT on January 1st.
All right. Hello, Viroqua.
Amazing, right?
V-Town.
So, hello 2023. Yes. Here we are. We woke up and we turned on our radio, and here we are, all in this energy of how do we want this year to be?
Yeah.
And I love what you shared about transmutation and the diffuse focus, optimal breathing, Qigong breathing. These things can help you be whoever you want to be in this next year. And I feel like, how many times have we made our New Year's resolutions and we make it a week, you know, or whatever it is. Uh-huh. I can't even remember what mine was last year. Honestly, I don't remember. Uh-huh. And here we are today with this fresh opportunity. I love New Year's Day because I feel like it's this great opportunity to create an intention. I'm sure that I wrote it in my journal somewhere. Yeah. You know, I'm very good at journaling, especially on important dates. So what is it that you want to do? And I'm speaking to you out there listening at this moment. whether it's January 1st or it's afterwards. What did you choose? What if you didn't choose now. Now is always perfect time to make an intention. And one of the things that I've really adopted from my Qigong training is intention. Intention creation, and how meaningful it is to, before every meditation, go, I dedicate this practice to whatever it is. You know, for me, a lot of the time is to heal my brain. I have some bad synapses I'm just so tired of. And so I'm literally focusing on healing my brain so that I can actually heal my body, and so on and so forth. So that's been a very, very big intention for me. Sometimes I send it to a loved one who I feel I'm worried about, but for the most part, it's generally a pain that I'm experiencing or a desire to be well. And so that's my intentions. Like, what kind of intentions do you create?
Oh, I just, I believe that 2023, just in general, is going to be the year of awakening. So I just want to, awaken my mind a bit more.
So that's do you have that intention like throughout every day, or?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Really.
That's cool.
I mean, to me, it's kind of like a great adventure. Mm-hmm. And they say it takes like 10,000 hours to master something. And I'm like, well, the only way I'm going to get those 10,000 hours is to just work on it throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then it adds up quickly if I can just be in that place of metacognition and keep coming back to, optimal breathing or conscious breathing. And then the hours will just add up.
I love that you just brought that up, because it's so true, and I love that that's an intention. I'm trying to reach my 10,000 hours.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
10,000
awesome.
10,000 hours of like the meditative state. Yeah. Well, and that's what this book I'm reading about this, like a Taoist master from Java who just has these amazing powers. He can really control his energy and really control his chi big time, and really heat up his hands and send electricity and do things with this electricity.
Healing and
it's kind of, and he was discovered, in the 80s by a PBS crew that just happened to be doing a special on Java, and they discovered this guy, and some of you may have seen some of his, I think they call him Dynamo Jack.
Okay.
Well, that's not even his real name. But anyway, he talks about you need to have a certain amount of hours of meditation to build the prana, to build it. And if you don't have that, it's not going to work. And I know for me, when I sit, and he says most Americans, they sit on a cushion for an hour, they'll only have a minute and a half of a meditative time because the mind is just going. And I can relate to that. Yeah, right. I'm like, man, if I'm ever going to get there, I have to work it into my day.
Yeah.
And so
I absolutely love that. I love this guy. If you ever want to check out his YouTube, I think it's like Starting Fire with Chi or something like that. This guy has this little short PBS special, but the part is that he does this healings on people. And I know that there are other Qigong masters in China that can do this electric passing to people and healing issues. But this guy can start fire with his hand. I don't know if he's still alive, but this was in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about it too. He would be in his late 80s, I think, if he's still. So he might be around still,
Yeah, he's pretty healthy and stuff. That's one thing I've noticed about this, the the Qigong and Tai Chi, and yoga, I have definitely witnessed that people age more gracefully. They seem to be more healthy in general, have a healthier mindset on the chaos going on around them. I mean, we can't change the chaos going on around us. We can change our response to it.
And we can, well, according to hermetics, if somebody's vibrating on a higher level that's kind of aligned with the God mind vibration, that the people around them begin vibrating higher too. So we sort of can change.
Yeah, we can affect change.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to get too, I mean, you always got to just keep the ego in check, you know, no matter what. And not get too uppity about all this.
Yeah.
But
there's a humility and an empowerment. So it's like, and this is something that I have wrestled from being a little girl and growing up in a very religious household and being given the definition of humility was basically being subservient, and being confident and proud is bad. And so I've really wrestled this in my mind for 30 some years. And how do I be confident? Am I bad if I'm confident? And I can see, like what you're saying, there is times when the confidence does go into a puffed up ego.
Yeah, ego tripping.
Yeah, and so I get it, but how to hold that humility in a way that leaves room for confidence and empowerment.
Yeah, right.
And that's a really fine line. I feel like I definitely have not mastered it at all, but I do attempt it. And it does seem that when I get confident, that sometimes that means that someone must fall, you know?
Yeah, well, some people, when they get confident, they just think that get into this bossy mode.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody must be subservient to me because I'm confident. And that's not a good place to be.
No.
And I've really worked against it. I feel like I grew up in a team player mindset. I did a lot of sports as a kid, and that idea of being a part of the team.
Yeah.
And I was never the star player. So I really got the idea of working as a team. And now as I grow into my own spiritual awakening, like you're saying, I find that there is a co-leadership that is possible. And I feel like that's what we work towards, is how to lead together. And sometimes that means following.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means stepping up because I know something.
Yeah.
And I really find that that's the things that I enjoy are co-leadership things. I've been teaching since 2008, so I know that I can lead, but I prefer to co-lead.
Okay.
Hence Mindflow Radio, right?
Here we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as confidence goes too, for me, it's just an internal. If I'm feeling confident that I can stay in that elevated mind state at least most of the time, then I'm feeling confident. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's kind of like it doesn't have to do with controlling others. And
right.
One thing that's really helpful for me is just realizing that, okay, we all have the spark of the God mind within each of us. Mm-hmm. So we each have this divine spark, boom, boom, boom. And we're all confused.
Yes, we are.
All of us, you know, and we all have issues unless you're enlightened out there, which I don't know. I haven't met anybody, I don't think, who's enlightened. Well, maybe Ram Dass. He seemed pretty enlightened when I met him, actually. But Yeah, but being in that place of, that's humility. It's like, oh, we all have issues. Oh yeah, I got my issues, but oh yeah, I'm doing what I can to evolve my own mind to become more and more empowered over the years. You know, and through training and through, but that also just to see the God spark in everyone. And it's like, oh, okay, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And oh, okay, there's a bunch of us who are working on evolving our consciousness.
Yeah.
Together. There's a bunch of us all over the world.
Right. I think what's so cool about you is that you're not just talking right now. Like, you really mean that. I have seen Monte just go with the flow of people and their specialness and not bat an eye. And whereas I'll be like, I can't believe that just happened. Da, 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 da. And he'll be like, it's okay. That's just how it is right now. And what?
Well, you know, there's this thing, you know, rolling with the punches. Maybe because I used to box when I was little. Okay. You know, but really, and this is a Stoic philosophy, seeing every challenge as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Now, just developing. I got lots of opportunities then. Don't we all? Because that's the thing. The challenges, that is part of the human condition. Yeah. Challenges just keep coming at us. Yeah. And if every time a challenge comes at me, if I become angry or I become depressed or I become, you know, it's like, oh, another challenge, you know. But if I can just frame it from the perspective of, oh, this is an opportunity of some sort. Well, what am I supposed to learn? How am I supposed to deal with this? You know, and perhaps you can conquer that particular challenge, you know, through effective behavior. Mm-hmm. You know, and believe me, a lot of the time my behavior is not effective. You know, and I realize that a lot.
But that's okay. It's your mindset that matters. And mindset's like always willing to forgive yourself, but want to grow, forgive others, and give them the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, I'm not saying I've seen you get bowled over, because I haven't, but you're just so forgiving to everybody and forgiving of their mindset and their egos and their greed and their, you know, and I'm just like, I have a hard time. I'm like, you just slighted me, bro. And I get pissed off. And he's like, it's okay.
Well, I mean, I have those same feelings too, but I just don't try and cling to them.
Yeah, you don't express them. You transmute them or something.
Yeah, right. Because, I mean, the whole self-righteous anger thing. That's like, you know, I have a right to be angry, so I'm going to be angry. Yeah. And I'm going to stay angry.
I join in that sometimes.
Yeah, right. I mean, and so do I, but I recognize it when I'm in it, and anger can serve a valuable purpose in our lives at the right time. Mm-hmm. But if it's...
Get us out of danger's path.
Yeah, it can help us. But if it's not in moderation, it can like wreck our lives.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a thing. And
it just...
Why... It's sort of like, why be angry? We're all these confused God creatures. Like, you know, and it's like, oh, I get it. Okay, so we have this fairly high technology, but emotionally we're like apes, sort of, and just like, you know, and we need to evolve. That's all that says to me, you know. And it's so interesting how, you know, like the idea of world peace, that concept, world peace, the world being at peace, not being at war, being at peace. People are like, ha, 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 that'll never happen. You know, it's like, why not? Why? Actually, it will happen. It's probably destined to happen. It's just a matter of when. Yeah. It's like when we figure out that we can like work with our own minds and become more peaceful in our own minds and become more forgiving to ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's the thing you were talking about, forgiveness. Yeah, I believe in forgiveness. I mean, if I'm not into forgiveness, then I'm into like judging others, being angry at others, trying to like needle others, and then my mind is in that habit. And then when I make a mistake, I do the same thing to myself. I think that's really important for people to recognize, is our minds get in certain habits. And if I get in the habit of forgiving others, of course, not being bowled over, like you said, like, keeping my boundaries and just, all that, but forgiveness. And then when I make a mistake, I'm just way more able to forgive myself. And that's really key.
So I want to say that this is a great moment for us to play the song Forgive. And then we'll come back and finish up our conversation.
Awesome.
So we'll see you in a second. Sun coming up on the earth, open up strong and we learn. Never done, never do we waver. Who is the one that we seek? Who is the one within we? I don't fear the answer. I know hope it has wings. I can see it rests with the King of Shine. Let it shine unbounded. Out of the mouth comes the water. Out of the earth came a daughter. All I hear is to forgive. 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 Out of the hands of Creator, I call out Mahadeva. Lead us into patience. We drew the mist on the ceiling, let it rain down for a healing. I know this is ancient. Well, I love you and I mean it. Hey, little child, can you feel it? Let it come full circle. Giving up on separation, now it's time that we face it. All I hear is to forgive. Forgive. Burn the sage and the cedar, oh grandmother, we need a way home, with the sound of a river. Watch it come and carry us home. Burn the sage and the cedar, oh grandmother, we need a way home, with the sound of the river. Watch it come and carry us home. Forgive. Forgiveness is forgiving. So give yourself this gift from time to time. Forgiveness is forgiving. So give yourself this gift from time to time. Forgiveness is forgiving. So give yourself this gift from time to time. Forgiveness is forgiving. So give yourself this gift from time to time. Forgive me, and I forgive you. Forgive. I forgive me, and I forgive you. Forgive. I forgive me, and I forgive you. Forgive. Forgive.
Forgiveness is key. Or one of the keys, really.
It's huge. It's really huge. I've been working with this song a long time. This was a cover from Trevor Hall. If you haven't heard of him before, check him out. His stuff is amazing. And this song Forgive has been just a huge musical medicine piece for me over the last couple months. And I know that we have the forgiveness protocol, and I've been wanting to write a song about forgiveness, and then I ran across this and I was like, I don't think I can do better than this, and I'm sure he would be happy for me loving this song so much that I want to play it. So thank you, Trevor Hall, for your inspiration in understanding how important forgiveness is and writing a beautiful song about it so I can sing it.
Yeah, and you think of it, the ability to forgive in some ways is the ability to transmutate.
Right.
Totally. Because when I'm stuck in that, I can't believe I made that mistake. And then I start beating myself up, with my self-talk. How could you have done that? Well, you should know better and blah, blah, blah.
Totally.
And then, but if I can go into forgiveness, then I can transmutate that and actually give it some, whatever the mistake was, I can give it some meaning by, okay, I'm going to learn from this mistake and I'm not going to try and make it again.
Right.
So it can be a learning process. And again, it's a challenge when we make mistakes and seeing that as an opportunity to forgive ourselves.
Totally. I feel that this ties into almost the beginning of this conversation and the idea of, I can't actually remember what it was that I was going to say, but something in the realm of when you have no control over the situation. And that's the hardest part for me, is when I don't have control over the situation, forgiving that. We can't control other people. We can't control other people's minds. We can't control their actions. And yet, by holding on to that, and this kind of ties into what you're talking about with the anger, holding on to it is dangerous. It's harmful.
Holding on to what?
The pain of something that you had no control over.
Oh.
You know, if somebody was not kind and doesn't see that,
right.
how to forgive ourselves for being even upset about it, seeing it as a big deal. And also, there are things that are absolutely wretched that people do, and they do not feel sorry, and they do not care if you forgive them or not, because generally people like that don't really care. And how to forgive them anyway, forgive ourselves. It's a huge step. It's a huge step to be able to forgive people who've done true wrong things, you know, really wretched things. And humanity is full of that. That's what every war starts with, somebody trying to get back at somebody for something, even if they didn't know they did it. But most of the time I think they do. But it's just this human history of getting the other person back or the other country back, or it just keeps going on and on and on. And if we really do want world peace, then forgiveness is a huge step in that. And that we've had great examples, you know, Gandhi. I know there's more. Martin Luther King.
Well, Jesus,
of course. He forgave all those people.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and he said, "Forgive them; they know not what they do."
Yeah,
you know, which is the same thing, kind of that Socrates was talking about. Just ignorance or evil comes out of ignorance.
Yeah,
just lack of knowing.
Right.
You know, and that comes back to this idea that we're all like these creatures walking around with this spark of the God mind within us, but we're all confused.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things that are uncool. But if we can have some level of control in our own minds, that's empowerment.
Yeah.
You know?
And when we lose that control, to get it back by simply forgiving ourselves. You know, how many times have I been in a meditative state and I lose that meditative state and then fall into the negative because I'm just so upset that I couldn't hold it. And yet the way out is to forgive myself and say, hey, you know what? You're a human, and you made a mistake getting angry at yourself, but you'll try harder.
Well, it's just imperative to realize that the way we progress is 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Right, the ratchet
2 steps
effect.
forward, 1 step back. 3 steps forwards, 2 steps back. 4 steps forward, 5 steps back. 7 steps forward. You know, whatever. Just like as long as in the long run we're heading in the right direction.
Totally.
I mean, that's where we get caught up. You know, oh, I can't make any mistakes ever. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just unrealistic.
Right.
It's kind of like that same mentality of, oh, I don't want to deal with any challenges. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's not realistic either, because the challenges will keep coming and I will keep making mistakes. And the idea is I just want to try and do my best to learn from the mistakes and to stay in that place of, I mean, forgiveness is related to the idea of love, you know, and Jesus talking about love your enemies, you know, it's radical.
Super.
Radical love theory right there. It's like, what? How is that possible? You know, but
I think in our culture, the beginning is just to forgive our enemies.
Yeah. Well, it's related to just seeing your enemies as, you know, similar to yourself. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Oh, we're all confused. Oh, yeah, I'm confused. Oh, we all have issues. Oh, yeah, I have issues too.
And that what you said, Socrates said, ignorance. Wait, what is it?
Evil
comes out of ignorance.
Yeah.
And that's so true. That comes back to, I have, in this last year, we've come up with all these new theories, and Monte specifically, and getting into the hermetics and the stoicism and his own personal theories, which then I adopt most of. And I feel like the theory of, darn it, my brain. Where was I going? Save me. I'll think of it.
Okay. Well, 2023, it's the year of awakening. And just if that is the case, which I believe it is, the universe will support us in moving towards awakening. That's the idea. And that's the idea of hermetics too. Is if we can
I remember
move our mind vibration towards the vibration of the God mind, then we're empowered, and then we can tap into manifesting powers that we didn't even know we had.
Right.
The more aligned our mind vibration can become with the God mind, then the God mind starts like working with us more and more. So we start tapping into this, who knows what.
Yeah.
Who knows what those powers actually will translate into for people who are really in line with it.
So I want to say what I was going to say. Okay. So rewind a little bit. What I wanted to say is that the subconscious has been a huge player in our personal evolutions, in understanding what is the subconscious and how can we face it, because the subconscious is basically our ignorance. It's our internal programming that we don't even know is happening. It's what happens to you and to me, to all of us, when we're in a fight with somebody we love and we revert to things that we don't even know are happening unless somebody is able to explain to us in a calm way that every time somebody says something in this way to you, this is how you respond, and it really seems inappropriate and extreme and so on and so forth. I feel like going in with the forgiveness and this idea of ignorance and facing our own ignorance by being okay when somebody reflects our ignorance to us. Like, it's okay. It's okay. We don't know our subconscious. We need other people to reflect it to us so that we can overcome our own ignorance and be able to be more fully ourselves and fully conscious and fully aware. And metacognition and meditative states, they help so much. Yeah. But there's that subconscious programming that we did not choose. It happened before we were 7, before we were able to cognitively think. So these subconscious programs are so deep within us. Yeah. And that's real freedom, is digging that stuff up. Yeah. And improving or giving our subconscious minds a tune-up, essentially. A cleaning.
Cleaning, right.
A deep clean.
And it's true. I mean, a lot of the subconscious programming comes from our ancestors, handed down, for the last 10,000 years. A lot of it comes from the culture in which we live in, and we just have to work with improving the functioning of our subconscious and conscious minds. And I will be doing a free lecture at the Commons January 6th on that very subject.
Awesome.
So if you're into it, and all donations will go to the Commons.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's
Thanks for that.
Yeah, January 6th at 7 p.m.
Yeah, and on announcements locally, we have the satsang that same weekend, January 8th at 11 a.m. So we hope to see you there at the Commons. Yep. Yeah. And many blessings to y'all.
Peace and love. 2023. We are all in this together.
Yeah. Let's help each other out. Let's be kind. Let's be forgiving.
And let's be kind to ourselves.
Yes, please. And good luck with your resolution, and I hope that you have fun with intentions. And know the power of intention is what helps you manifest. So use your tools, and we'll see you next month.
We got this.